In the ancient world, there were many polytheistic religions and fewer monotheistic religions. In these different religions or ways of beliefs, there were different places of worship. Two examples of these places of worship were the temples and the ziggurats. Temples were used by the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Greeks. These temples were all polytheistic. In each of these different temples, there were altars made for sacrifices to their gods. There are also priests for each of these different religions who were very knowledgeable about their beliefs. The ancient Greek and ancient Egyptian temples were mainly built as homes for their gods. In the ancient world, there were also ziggurats. Ziggurats were used by the ancient Mesopotamians, mainly the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. The ziggurats resembled the step pyramid of the ancient Egyptians. On the top of the ziggurats, there was a shrine where their god or gods were believed to dwell. Only the priests of the ziggurats were allowed onto the top of the shrine, and therefore were believed to be a higher rank than others. They were believed to be the only ones that could actually speak to the gods.
The Jews have a main place of worship that is called a synagogue. Synagogue comes from the Greek word assembly, and in Hebrew the synagogue is called Bet HaKnesset, which means building for assemblies. The first synagogues were built during the Babylonian exile. The Jews didn't have any temples, so they replaced the temples with synagogues. The synagogue is built in a special way so that it faces Jerusalem, a place for studying, and served as a community center. It is also built so all of the worshippers will stand on an arch shaped towards Aron HaKodesh, where the Bible is kept. In the modern world, there are 4 types of synagogues: Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, and Reconstructionist. It's also a place for studying. The synagogue isn't only a place of worship, but it is also a place for studying.
Worship. Christians worship God by singing and praying to Him. Christianity is based on the teachings of Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God, born by the Virgin Mary. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, near Jerusalem. Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, Protestant, Anglican, Episcopalian, Seventh-day Methodist. And grew up in Nazareth. Jesus' mother, Mary, was Jewish, therefore Jesus was a Jew. There are many denominations in the Christian church. Here are a few examples of these denominations: Adventist, Church of Christ, Amish, Southern Baptist, Baptist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Assembly of God, and Methodists for the church building. Generally, a church will have a steeple on top, and on top of the steeple there is a cross. Inside of the church, there is a sanctuary where the main worshiping takes place. In some churches, in the sanctuary is a baptismal. There are also classrooms in the church where Sundays are very open and have very high ceilings. The high ceilings were used as a cooling system, and due to the high, Christians can worship. They can worship anywhere they want. Christians worship God by singing and praying to Him. Christians worship God in churches and cathedrals. Churches are not built in a specific way. There are no requirements held. A cathedral is usually built in the shape of a cross. Older cathedrals are high ceilings. There are very good acoustics in the cathedrals. A church is not the only place that Christianity is based on the teachings of Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God, born to the Virgin Mary. Christians worship God in churches and cathedrals. A church is not the only place that Christians can worship. They can worship anywhere they choose. In places of
A mosque is a place of worship for Muslims. The definition of mosque is a house of worship. There are 3 holy places for Muslims: Jerusalem, Mecca, and Medina. The mosque can be built anywhere, but the worshippers have to pray facing Mecca. The mosque has a minaret with a crescent moon on top. The minaret is a tall tower. In old times, the imams would go and call people to pray. The crescent moon on top of the minaret stands for the Muslim's faith. The imam is the leader of the prayer. The Quran is the most important book of teachings.
In the future, the way we look at religion and the places of worship for different religions may change. In the future, women may have more rights in religions such as Islam and Judaism. In Islam, women may have the right to stand and pray in front of men. In Judaism, the women may more commonly become rabbis. The places of worship may also be much different from the modern-day synagogue, church, or mosque. Different religions may coexist peacefully with each other. There is no way to be sure of the changes in the future, but it is possible to imagine what it will be like.